I feigned fainting during a live stream to test my dog's reaction, but he actually stood up like a human and calmly lit a cigarette. Just as I was too terrified to move, another streamer suddenly connected and asked me point blank, "Does your dog have a stitched line down his back?" I have been a full-time streamer for about 3 years now. Usually, my content is pretty boring, just chatting, gaming, or reviewing weird internet videos. But the real star of my channel has always been my dog, Buster. Buster is or was a golden retriever, the kind of dog that looks like he is smiling even when he is sleeping. He was goofy, a bit overweight, and completely obsessed with food. My audience loved him more than they liked me, honestly. Last Tuesday, I decided to do a play dead prank on him live on stream. It's a classic trend where the owner pretends to faint, and the dog usually freaks out or just ignores them. I set up the camera on the floor of my living room. "Alright guys," I said to the chat, "let's see if he actually cares about me." Buster was sleeping on the rug near the sofa, his back to me. I took a deep breath, let out a dramatic gasp, and collapsed onto the floor. I lay there, face down, holding my breath. I waited for the wet nose, the warm tongue, or at least a confused bark. But there was nothing. The room was dead silent. The only sound was the hum of my computer fan and the distant traffic outside. I lay there for maybe 2 minutes, which is a long time when you are live streaming. I started to feel stupid. Clearly, the prank failed, and Buster didn't care. I was about to stand up and laugh it off. But then I heard a sound that froze my blood. It was the flick of a lighter. Click, whir, flare. Then, the distinct sound of someone inhaling deeply. I live alone. I don't smoke. And Buster is a dog. My heart started hammering against my ribs, making a thumping sound in my ears. I didn't move. I couldn't move. I kept my eyes shut, pretending to be unconscious, my mind racing through terrifying possibilities. Did someone break in while I was lying down? Was there an intruder in the corner of the room this whole time? I heard footsteps approaching me. They were heavy, rhythmic, 2 feet, not 4. Step, step, step. The footsteps stopped right next to my head. I could smell the acrid smoke of a cheap cigarette. And underneath the smoke, there was another smell. Something rotting, like meat left out in the sun too long. A shadow fell over me. "Good," a voice whispered. It wasn't a normal voice. It sounded wet, raspy, as if the vocal cords were covered in slime. "Good, good." Then, the footsteps walked away. I heard the sliding glass door to the balcony open and close. I waited another full minute before I dared to open my eyes. I scrambled up, grabbing the baseball bat I keep behind my desk. "Who's there?" I screamed, my voice cracking. The living room was empty, but the balcony door was unlocked, and Buster was gone. I ran to my computer to check the chat. The chat was moving so fast it was just a blur of colors. People were freaking out. "Oomph. Did you see that? Clip it. Clip it now. That was not a dog. Call the police up." My hands were shaking so hard I could barely control the mouse. I clicked on the instant replay button and rewound the stream to the moment I fell. I watched myself fall. I watched Buster sleeping in the background. For the first 10 seconds, nothing happened. Then, Buster's ears twitched. He didn't lift his head like a dog hearing a noise. He slowly sat up. But the movement was wrong. It was too fluid, too human. He rolled his shoulders, as if his skin was too tight. Then, he stood up on his hind legs. He didn't wobble. He stood perfectly straight, balancing on his paws like feet. On the screen, the creature that looked like my dog walked over to my desk. His front paw, no. His hand reached out and grabbed my pack of emergency cigarettes. He lit one with the dexterity of a man who has smoked for 20 years. He took a drag, exhaled, and then looked directly into the camera lens. That was the moment I screamed. It wasn't a dog's stare. The eyes were blue. Buster has brown eyes, and the expression on his face was one of pure, exhausted annoyance. It looked like a middle-aged man wearing a very expensive, very realistic fur suit. but where the neck met the shoulders, I saw something ripple, like something under the skin was trying to get out. I ended the stream immediately. I pulled the power cord from the wall. I sat in the dark silence of my apartment, clutching the baseball bat. Buster was still gone. He must have gone out to the balcony. My phone buzzed in my pocket, making me jump. It was a direct message on Twitter. The sender's name was Arthur, the medium. The message read, "I watched your stream. Do not go to the balcony." I stared at the screen. A second message popped up. "The thing in your house knows you saw it. It is testing you." I typed back, my fingers trembling. "Who are you? Is this a prank?" My phone rang immediately, an unknown number. I hesitated, looking at the sliding glass door. The curtains were drawn, but I could see a silhouette standing outside. It was standing on two legs, smoking. I answered the phone. "Who is this?" I demanded, my voice shaking. "My name is Arthur," the voice said. "Look, I know you think this is a prank, but I watched your stream, and I saw the same thing happen to my brother 6 months ago." "Your brother?" I asked, my finger hovering over the hang-up button. "He found his cat acting strange. He ignored it. Now he's gone. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to save you. The creature on your balcony is a skinwalker, a mimic." "Stop," I whispered. "This is crazy." "Is it?" Arthur asked calmly. "Did your dog have surgery recently?" I stopped breathing. "Yes," I choked out. "He got hit by a truck. He had spinal surgery." "Let me guess," Arthur continued. "The vet was Dr. Reynolds? The clinic on Elm Street?" "How do you know that?" I asked, terrified. "Because Dr. Reynolds disappeared," Arthur said. "The police never found him, but I know where he is. He is inside your dog." I felt bile rise in my throat. "That's impossible. He wouldn't fit." "He fits if you remove the bones first," Arthur said coldly. "Or if he isn't human anymore." "If you don't believe me," Arthur added, "check the floor where the dog was standing before he went to the balcony. You will find a black, oily residue, and it will smell like rotting peaches." I looked down at the floor near the desk. There it was, a small, dark puddle on the hardwood. I walked over and smelled it. It was sickly sweet, exactly as he said. "Okay," I whispered, fear gripping my chest. "I believe you. What do I do?" "The thing is dormant right now," Arthur said. "The nicotine acts as a sedative for them. It needs to sleep after it feeds on the smoke. You have maybe 5 minutes before it wakes up fully. You need to check the zipper." "Zipper?" I asked. "On his back, where the scar should be. You need to confirm it's a suit. Once you confirm it, we can kill it. Open the door, act normal, pretend you saw nothing." I hung up the phone. I wiped my face, took a deep breath, and walked to the balcony door. I unlocked it and slid it open. Buster trotted in on 4 legs, wagging his tail. The cigarette was gone. The human expression was gone. He looked up at me with big, brown puppy eyes. "Hey buddy," I said, my voice shaking uncontrollably. "Did you go for a potty break?" Buster barked happily, but the bark sounded hollow, like it was echoing inside a cavern. He walked past me and flopped onto the rug. He closed his eyes and started breathing heavily. It worked. The smoke really did sedate him. I gripped the scissors I had hidden in my pocket. I knelt beside him. He was sprawled on the rug, completely still. I reached out and parted the golden fur along his spine. The surgery scar was there, running from his neck to his tail. But Arthur was right. Up close, it didn't look like healed skin. The skin around the scar was pale and rubbery, and the stitches were molded plastic, painted to look like thread. It was a seamless, watertight seal, like a Ziploc bag. I felt a wave of dizziness. I touched the skin on his back. It felt cold and lumpy, like thousands of small, round marbles shifting around inside. Eggs, I thought. Suddenly, a hand, a dog's paw, but gripping like a hand, grabbed my wrist. Buster's head snapped up. His blue eyes stared directly into mine. He wasn't asleep anymore. The sedative hadn't lasted long enough. My heart stopped. I knew I was dead. The creature's grip tightened, its claws digging into my skin. I had to lie. I had to improvise. "Tick," I stammered, holding up my other hand and pretending to pinch something invisible. "You have a tick, Buster. Good boy. Let me get it." The creature stared at me, processing the lie. It tilted its head, the loose skin around its neck bunching up. It seemed to evaluate whether I was a threat or a servant. "Itch," the dog mumbled finally, and let go of my wrist. It rolled over, exposing its belly. The belly skin was translucent. I could see dark shapes moving inside. I backed away, trembling. "All gone. Good boy." I ran to the kitchen and texted Arthur. "It's awake." Arthur replied instantly. "Get it out of the house. Take it to the clinic. The x-rays will expose it." Me. "It won't go. It's too strong." Arthur replied instantly. "It is molting. That process is incredibly painful and itchy for them. Use that. Pretend you think it's just a bad skin allergy. Tell it you are taking it to get the stop-it shot. It will follow you because it wants the pain to stop." I swallowed hard. I walked back to the living room. Buster was thrashing against the sofa, letting out low, wet whimpers. He was tearing his own fur off in clumps. "Oh my God, Buster," I screamed, putting on my best worried dog mom voice. "Your allergies, they're so bad." The creature stopped thrashing and looked at me. Its blue eyes were watering. It looked miserable. "I know, baby, I know," I said, grabbing my keys. "We need to go to the doctor right now. He has the shot, the big shot. It stops the itch immediately." The creature tilted its head. It understood doctor and stop itch. I opened the front door. "Come on, let's fix your skin." The creature stood up. It shook its body, sending a spray of black droplets onto the floor. It walked to the door, eager for relief. It didn't suspect a thing. It just thought I was a concerned owner taking a sick pet to the vet. We got into the car. Buster sat in the back seat. In the rearview mirror, I saw him staring at the back of my neck. He was licking his lips, over and over again. The drive to the 2 4-hour emergency clinic took 20 minutes. It was the longest 20 minutes of my life. Every time I hit a bump, I heard a wet slapping sound from the back seat, like a sack of wet meat hitting the leather seats. Finally, we arrived. I dragged Buster inside. He was heavy, much heavier than usual. The receptionist looked at us. "Emergency?" "Yes," I said breathlessly. He swallowed glass. I needed a lie that would force an x-ray. "Dr. Aris is available," she said. "Room 3. Dr. Aris was a young guy, tired-looking. He lifted Buster onto the metal table. He frowned as he touched Buster's stomach. "His abdomen is incredibly distended and cold," Dr. Aris said. "We need an immediate x-ray." I nodded, stepping back. "I'll wait here," I said. Dr. Aris wheeled Buster into the imaging room. I stood in the examination room, listening to the hum of the machine. My phone buzzed. It was Arthur. "Get out of the room," he texted. "Don't be cornered." I stepped out into the hallway. From the imaging room, there was silence. Then I heard Dr. Aris gasp. "What on earth?" I heard him whisper. Then the door to the imaging room burst open. Dr. Aris stumbled out, holding a tablet. His face was white as a sheet. He grabbed my arm, his grip painful. "You need to explain this," he hissed, showing me the screen. I looked at the X-ray image. It wasn't a dog's skeleton. The skull was canine, yes. But the rib cage, the ribs were broken, snapped in half, and bent outwards. Inside the expanded rib cage, there was another set of bones. Human bones. A human pelvis, a human spine, curled up into a fetal position. And filling every empty space between the human bones and the dog skin were thousands of tiny, white dots. "Are those?" Dr. Aris started to ask. "Eggs," I whispered. Suddenly, the lights in the clinic flickered. A sound came from the dark imaging room. Zip. It was loud, like a tent being unzipped in a quiet forest. Dr. Aris dropped the tablet. It shattered on the floor. "Good," a voice rasped from the darkness. It wasn't Buster's voice anymore. It was deeper, stronger. A tall, wet figure stepped out of the shadows. The dog skin lay in a heap on the floor behind it. The creature was standing on 2 legs. It was covered in black slime and white eggs, but I could see patches of human skin underneath the slime, and a face that looked like it had been screaming for 6 months. It was Dr. Reynolds, or what was left of him. Dr. Aris screamed. The monster lunged at him with impossible speed. It hugged him. I saw the monster's chest split open, like a rib cage acting as a jaw. I didn't wait to see what happened next. I turned and ran. I ran through the waiting room, ignoring the receptionist's shouts. I burst out into the cold night air and scrambled into my car. As I fumbled with the keys, I saw the clinic lights go out completely. Then, a scream cut through the night. It was short, wet, and final. I started the car and peeled out of the parking lot, my tires screeching. My phone rang again as I sped down the highway. "You saw it," Arthur said. His voice was calm. "I saw it," I sobbed, clutching the steering wheel. "It killed him. It killed the doctor." "Good," Arthur said. "What?" I asked, confused by his tone. "I mean, good that you escaped," he said quickly. "Now listen, it has shed its skin. It is vulnerable, but it is also hungry. It needs a new suit immediately. Come to me. I have a safe house in the woods, salt circles, wards. It's the only place it cannot enter." I looked at the dark road ahead. I had nowhere else to go. "Send me the address," I whispered. The GPS led me off the main highway and onto a dirt road. The woods on either side were thick and suffocating. Every shadow looked like a creature running on 2 legs. Finally, I saw a small cabin. It looked abandoned, but there was a warm, yellow light glowing in the window. I parked the car and ran to the door. A man stepped out. He looked normal, average height, wearing a flannel shirt and jeans. "You made it," he called out. I ran to him, almost collapsing. "Arthur?" He nodded. "Hurry, inside. The salt lines only work if the door is closed." I rushed inside. The cabin was filled with candles. There were thick lines of white salt poured across every windowsill and doorway. It looked like a movie set for a demon hunter, and honestly, that comforted me. It meant he knew what he was doing. "Sit," Arthur said, locking the heavy wooden door behind us. He pointed to a wooden chair in the center of the room. "I'll get you some tea." "You're shaking." I sat down, wrapping my arms around myself. The adrenaline was fading, replaced by a deep, bone-chilling cold. Arthur was in the small kitchenette, his back to me. I took a deep breath, trying to calm down. That's when I smelled it. In the car, I was too panicked to notice. But here, in the stillness of the cabin, it was undeniable. A sickly sweet smell, like rotting peaches, and underneath it, the metallic tang of copper. My stomach tightened. "Why does it smell like that?" I asked, sniffing the air. Arthur stiffened slightly. He sat down on a chair opposite me. He kept rubbing his neck, right under his left ear. Scritch, scritch. The sound of his fingernails on his skin was loud, too loud. "Are you okay?" I asked. "Just a mosquito bite." Arthur smiled. But his smile didn't reach his eyes. His eyes were flat, dead. "So," Arthur leaned forward, "tell me exactly what you saw when it shed. Did you see the connection points?" "Connection points?" I was confused. "The places where the human nerves connect to the outer shell," Arthur explained. "Usually at the spine and the fingertips." I stared at him. "How do you know that?" "I told you," Arthur said. "My brother was a host." He scratched his neck again, harder this time. I saw the skin under his ear stretch. It stretched too far, like gum. Then it tore. A small flap of skin peeled back, revealing something underneath. It wasn't blood. It was gray, and it was moving. My stomach dropped to the floor. I looked at his hands, resting on his knees. His fingernails were perfectly manicured, but on his pinky finger, The nail was slightly askew, like a press-on nail that was sliding off. Arthur. I stood up slowly. I think I left my phone in the car. Arthur didn't move. "Sit down," he said. His voice had changed. It was no longer the smooth, comforting voice of the psychic. It was the wet, raspy voice. The voice from the kitchen. The voice from the clinic. "We haven't finished our tea," Arthur said. I backed away towards the door. "You're one of them," I whispered. Arthur laughed. It was a dry, hacking sound. "One of them?" he mocked. "You think we are separate?" He reached up and grabbed the loose flap of skin under his ear. He pulled. The skin of his face detached from his jawline. It hung loosely, like a mask that had lost its glue. Underneath, I saw the raw, pulsating muscle of the creature. "We are all one," the thing wearing Arthur said. "A hive, a colony. We share memories. We share hunger. When the dog tasted your sweat, I tasted it too. Salty, fearful, delicious." I turned and ran for the door. I grabbed the handle and twisted. Locked. It wasn't just locked. It was jammed from the outside. "Open the door!" I screamed, pounding on the wood. "Open it." Arthur stood up. His limbs began to crack and elongate. His torso expanded, tearing the flannel shirt. "The dog suit was small," he explained, his jaw unhinging, restricting, "but a human suit. Oh, there is so much room to breathe." Suddenly, a heavy thud hit the door from the outside. I jumped back. Through the small window in the door, I saw a face press against the glass. It was the skinless head of the dog thing. Its eyes were gone, just empty sockets oozing black slime. It opened its lipless mouth. "Good," it rasped from outside. Arthur, or the thing inside him, echoed the sentiment from inside. "Good." They were communicating, coordinating. "Why did you bring me here?" I cried, backing into the corner of the room. "Why all the games? The salt? The warnings?" Arthur stepped over the salt line. Nothing happened. "The salt is for seasoning," he rasped. "And the fear." He took a deep breath, inhaling the scent of my terror. "The fear makes the meat tender." The door behind me splintered as the monster outside threw its weight against it. Wood cracked. Hinges screamed. I was trapped between a monster that wanted to get in and a monster that was already in. I looked around for a weapon. A fire poker, a chair, anything. I grabbed a heavy brass candlestick holder. Arthur just watched me, amused. His face was fully peeling off now, revealing a shiny, black skull underneath. "You have nowhere to go, Alex," he said, using my name for the first time. "Join the colony. It is warm inside the skin. And you will never be lonely again." The door exploded inward. The skinless dog monster crawled into the room on all fours. It was huge, dripping with fluids from the clinic. It looked at me, then at Arthur. It let out a chattering sound. Arthur chattered back. They were deciding who gets which piece. I raised the candlestick, knowing it was useless. As they lunged at me, the last thing I noticed was Arthur's phone on the table. It lit up with a notification. It was a text message from me, the one I sent earlier, hospital. But above it, there were hundreds of other texts from other numbers. "Help. It's in the house. Where are you?" Arthur wasn't a medium. He was a lure. And I was just the catch of the day. The two monsters collided with me. I felt cold hands. I felt teeth. And then, darkness. So, that is my story. You might be wondering how I am typing this if I died. Well, I didn't die. Not exactly. I woke up a few days later. I was in my own bed. The sun was shining. Buster was sleeping on the rug next to me. He looked perfect. Golden fur, wet nose. And when I looked in the mirror, I looked perfect too. My skin was glowing, not a single blemish. But I feel crowded. There is a buzzing in my head, 1,000 voices whispering at once. And I have this terrible itch on my back. Right down my spine. I think I'm going to go live now. My fans have been asking where I've been. I want to show them my new dog. And maybe Maybe I'll invite a few of them over for a meet and greet. After all, the colony needs to grow. Good.